Valentine's Day and or Galentine's Day is coming up. And if you want to see how I created a set of Valentine's Day themed dominoes, then stay tuned, because in this video I'll share how I create the dominoes from start to finish. Hello, gentle people. If this is your first time visiting my channel, or if you are a returning subscriber, welcome to this Sparrow Art Vibes video tutorial. I hope that you will see and hear something that inspires you to create something beautiful. I'm Hazel, a retired educator turned resin artist, and I like the term artrepreneur. And each week I share how I create the products that are available in my Etsy shop and my Shopify boutique. I have to say that Etsy does a really great job of helping sellers increase their sales. They recently published their Marketplace Insights Early 2024 Trends. In that report, they say the color of the year, the color for 2024, is berry. B-E-R-R-Y, berry. So with Valentine's Day coming up, I'm adding some new products to my shop, including lots of berry and assorted pinks. As always, if you like what you see but don't want to take time to make it yourself, please feel free to purchase at Sparrow Art Vibes Shop on Etsy. Also, if you are inspired by my video, do like, share, and of course subscribe. And here are the materials we need to make our Valentine's Day themed dominoes. All right, gentle people, to get started, let's look at our materials. We of course need our silicone domino mold. Oops, get that right there. And then we are going to need our resin. I'm going back to my tried and true Craft Smart. This is the Part A resin, and this is the Part B hardener. We'll need 2 measuring cups, a medium measuring cup, a small measuring cup, stir sticks, nitrile gloves. We are going to be doing a Magic Fly magenta, and to make it kind of festive, a Magic Fly, does that focus? Pearl white. And we will need our water slide decal paper. Make sure you're purchasing it for inkjet printers if that's what you're using. Set that there. And when we paint our pips and our lines, we're going to be using the Deco Art Duraclear Gloss Varnish. And that's all we need to make our dominoes for Valentine's Day. So let's clear all of this off the table and get started. Okay, so as I do in every single video, I remind you to follow the manufacturer's instructions for whatever brand of resin you're using. Again, Craft Smart clear casting and coating resin. And their instructions tell us that we need to mix equal amounts of part A side and part B so that we have a 1-to-1 mixing ratio. And then it tells us in terms of time, slowly mix for a minimum of 5 minutes. So that's what we're going to be doing. All right, so our measuring cup has been marked. We are going to pour 200 milliliters. So we have 100 and 200 marked right there. And so we're going to start by pouring 100 milliliters of the Part B hardener. And then we need 100 milliliters of the Part A resin. So those are our equal amounts. And our timer is set for 5 minutes. So that's what we'll do. Alright, so now we are going to add our magenta mica powder. And I don't have anything that says berry, so this is going to be about as close to berry as we can get with our magenta. And we'll mix this. And I'm not adding a lot of mica powder. I don't want this to be deep. I don't want this to be dark or deep. I want it to have more of a lighter feminine look to it. So the more mica powder you the more mica powder you add, the darker it is. And I don't want this dark. I want this feminine. I want this light. Okay, I think that's soft. Yeah, I think that's soft enough. All right, and so now all we're going to do is pour our resin. Let me see. I see a little bit of lint. I got something right here. A little dot right there. I saw something somewhere else where a little piece of hair right there. All right. Yeah, this is pretty. It's hard to pour from this larger container, so I am going to actually get a smaller cup. Hold on a second. Pour from the larger container, you'll make a mess. So I am going to pour from the smaller container. Then I have more control. Okay, and this we can just pour from the measuring cup. And then I'm just going back and leveling these off to make sure they all have about the same amount of resin. And this is just eyeballing this. And it's usually the first ones that need more because that's where you start. You want to make sure you have enough to fill them all, so it's the first ones that usually need the more. So all we need to do now is pop the air bubbles with the heat gun. And we will cover these and allow them to cure about 4 hours. And then we'll come in and we'll do our white coat. Okay, gentle people, I am back. Let's take the cover off of this, and we now need to mix 100 milliliters to do our white cover. And the white cover is so that when we put our artwork on, it will show up nicely. Measuring cup has been marked. And so 50 milliliters of the Part B hardener. $50 milliliters of the Part A resin. And we are mixing for 5 minutes. Okay, so now we want to add our Magic Fly Pearl White mica powder. And we're going to be generous because we want this to be opaque. We don't want you to be able to see through this. Okay, and I always do a test to see if that's dark enough, deep enough. And that's not quite as dark as I want it, as opaque as I want it, so we're going to add some more mica powder to this. Because I don't want it to be translucent. I don't want you to be able to see through it. I want it to be a solid white. So we add more mica powder. Make sure you scrape the mica powder off the sides of your measuring cup or cup that you're mixing in, because a lot of times your resin would be darker if all of the mica powder was mixed. So make sure you're scraping the sides carefully and make sure you're getting all the mica powder off your stick. Okay, so let's see if this is whiter. That's better. That's what we want. I think that's white enough. Yeah, that's a white. It's pearly. So this should be plenty white enough. Whee. Okay, and once they're all poured, then I simply go back and kind of level them off. So those that didn't fill, we know we have to add a little more to those right off the bat. If it didn't fill, we know we're adding more. And basically now we're just leveling these off, making sure they all have about the same amount like we did before. And this is really eyeballing it. This is not measuring. I've tried measuring with a teaspoon and you know, some gets left on the spoon. It's just, I didn't find it to be workable, and the amount of time it takes also, trying to measure precisely. And this is almost up to the rim. So you go back and you take a look and you decide who needs another drop. Alrighty, and then we need our heat gun to pop the air bubbles. We're going to cover this and allow this to cure for a couple of hours, and then the next step is to apply the artwork. Okay, I am back. Let's take the cover off of this. And our white coat is dry, is cured. And so off camera, I have a subscription. I get a lot of my artwork from a online company called Creative Fabrica. I have a subscription. And so I have access to, I might say, 1 billion pieces of artwork. For this, because this is Valentine's Day, I did type in Valentine and I typed print on demand. They have 2 categories: commercial, which needs to be modified, and print on demand, which can be used as is. So I typed in Valentine, and you see that I got over 90,000 selections that I could choose from. So I then decided, instead of just doing traditional Valentines, let me do something a little different this time and maybe do animals. And so when I narrowed my search to Valentine animals, it came down to just over 900. So that's like really small. And then you see I decided to choose the little cute, what they call cute Valentine animals. And so again, off camera, I printed my artwork on the water slide paper. And so now what I'm going to do is just trim all of these, drop them in the water, and attach them to the tiles. So let's get our water over here. I like to use the silicone makeup brushes. I don't promote any particular brand, but I got these off of Amazon and they work really, really well. So let me get these trimmed and let's get started. And you won't need to watch me put every one of these on. And I wanted the artwork a little larger than normal, just because I want to make sure that the images are nice and clear, and I can go back and trim them once I have them, once I apply them. So we'll just drop our little, we have our little colorful images. And so the water slide paper is nice because it's pretty quick. I started out using sticker paper, and I didn't like that the sticker paper left what I call an edge. I did not like the edge on the sticker paper. And then I switched to tattoos. The problem with tattoos is you have to remember to reverse the image. And after a couple of times of forgetting to do that and putting something on that had words and the text being backwards, I was like, I'm wasting a lot of material. I can't do this anymore. And then watching a video with Leah Dia Designs, she used water slide paper, and a lot of people who do tumblers use water slide. And so that's how I was introduced to that. So let's see what we're working with here. So we're going to just lift this. This should Ooh. Slide, just like that. Let's straighten out our edges. And then we just want to get rid of that excess moisture. And you can see the paper towel soaking up the moisture. And again, you just want to make sure you are rubbing from the center out to make sure all the moisture is out. And I have this turned so you can see the images. And just be careful to make sure the edges don't curl on you. So he's quite a bit larger. I am going to slide him back on here. I'm going to slide him back on here, and I'm going to trim one of his lobster claws off. I'm going to trim a claw off. There you go. And again, you see the moisture. To make sure we get all the moisture from underneath that. Use a different part of the towel so you can see. And then if these slide, you can reposition them while they're wet. They are repositionable. And make sure you don't do what I'm doing right now. This is because I'm turning this so you can see it as opposed to doing it so I can see it. And so got a little bit of a wrinkle in there. We'll get rid of that. Okay. I cut these large, but I am going back to trim some of them before I put them on. And again, I'm saying Valentine, and this is not what you traditionally think of for Valentine, but you'll see that each of the buckets that the animal is in, each bucket has a heart on it. So it is definitely themed for Valentine's. All right, so I am not going to have you sit and watch me attach all of these. I am going to just put these on, turn this around so I can see better what I am doing, and then I will come back once these are all attached. Alright, so I'm going to turn this around so I can actually see what I'm doing here. And sometimes this water slide paper, your images slide off before you even pull the backing off of them. Again, make sure your corners don't roll up and curl up on you. All these folks have cute little hats on. Alrighty. And again, as long as these are wet, they are repositionable. You can move them as long as they are wet. And I'm using this straight pin to just lift these corners that are curling on me. You want to keep your artwork on the paper backing, that way you don't have this issue. It's on the paper backing, you don't have a problem with it curling like this. See if I can get this dog back on the paper. Alright, so these are all on here, and so now what I'm going to do is just take a razor blade and I'm going to trim these to make sure there's space around them for the resin to adhere. all of the, what is this one? Okay, so all of the decals have been applied. If you're doing this, you would not have to do the trimming that I did. If you've watched any of my other videos, you've never seen me do this. But I wanted to make sure that these images were as large as possible. But when you make them large like this, you need to make sure that there's room around the edges, so when you pour the resin seals on the ends. You can't have the decal paper going over beyond the edge. So we're just going to leave these sit here just like this for a couple of hours. Well, really just an hour is all is needed, because it's warm in here, and let these dry, and then we'll put our clear coat on. Okie dokie. I am back. It has been a couple of hours, I guess. And so now what we want to do is mix and pour the clear coat. The artwork is dry, so we're going to pour the clear coat to seal these in. So we are going to do 30 milliliters of the Part B hardener. And 30 milliliters of the Part A resin. And of course it's a 5-minute mix. Okay, so our clear resin is mixed. Let me put a popsicle stick under here. And a popsicle stick under here. And so we are simply going to drizzle some of this clear on here to seal this artwork in place. And I say drizzle because it's easier to drizzle than it is when you pour. I always pour too much. And be very careful if you're using popsicle sticks that you do not scratch your artwork. I'm usually using the silicone stir sticks, but all of my silicone stir sticks have resin on them. I didn't clean them from my last project. And just make sure that you don't scratch or tear your artwork. And we're just pushing this clear coat to the edges of the tile. Alrighty, and so all of these have a clear coat, so we are going to simply take our heat gun, get rid of these air bubbles, cover this, allow this to cure overnight, and then tomorrow we will unmold these and paint our pips and our lines. Alright, so we'll cover these, and then tomorrow we will unmold these, paint our pips and lines, sand and varnish our edges. Gentle people, it is the next day, so we're going to take the cover off of this, and these are cute. These are cute. I'm glad I chose these. So we're just going to pop these out of this mold. And I have these three that stuck together, these three that stuck together. So we're going to take our scissors and carefully cut those, and cut that, and cut that, and cut that. And let me just say, and I'll just trim this right here while I'm looking at it. You want to do this as soon as these set, because if you wait until this hard cures and you go to cut them, you may crack. I have cracked this top coat on a couple when I trimmed them like this. So you want to make sure you're trimming as soon. Don't let it get, what am I trying to say? Again, if this hard cures and you try and trim it like this, the top coat might crack. That's what I'm trying to say. So this is overnight. This between these pieces is still soft enough to easily trim. And I'm just trimming this that was between these pieces. And then of course I go back and I sand everything, but just getting these off of here while I'm looking at it, because it's so unnecessary. And when I go to paint the pips, it'll bother me. And then I saw another one had some overflow. But again, I sand all the edges and sand and varnish all the edges, so we don't have to worry about any of this. Alrighty, let me just vacuum that up. So yeah, so you can see what these look like. They're cute. So if it's Valentine's Day gift and you just want a light-hearted gift to give someone, these with these little cute animals will work really well. If you have children that like to play dominoes, this would be a really cute set. So what we need to do now is paint the pips and lines on the back. So I have, when I first got these little teeny cup thingies, I didn't really know what to do with them. I thought they were kind of a waste, and that they were giving me something in the package to make me feel better. That's not true. I found lots of uses for these. So I do my pips and my lines with gloss varnish. A lot of people use acrylic paint, and that's fine if that's what you want to do, but the varnish is permanent. And this, let me just get up and show you. This Duraclear gloss varnish says that it is covers approximately 62 square feet indoor and outdoor, water-based, permanent, And that's what I'm most interested in, the fact that this is permanent. So once it's on there, it's on there. And so what I do, you give this a real good shake. I fill one of these little bowls, 3/4 of the way full, with the gloss varnish. Then we were using, yesterday, we were using our pearl white. So we will continue with the pearl white. Our pearl white there. And we're going to add pearl white to, we don't need that much. We're going to add pearl white to our varnish. And mix that real well. And I don't wear my nitrile gloves with the varnish in case somebody is saying, oh, she forgot to put her gloves on. No, I usually don't wear gloves when I'm doing this step, because varnish can wash off of your hands pretty easily. It will clean up with water. And so once that's mixed, then I have these disposable squeeze bottles that I bought on Amazon, and they come, this came bottles in this bag, covers, and a what do you call these things? I forget what you call these things. You put that in there and you pour. Comes with those. And then you have a bag with the little thingies to hold the covers. You put this on here like so, and then when you are through with the cover, then you can close that like so. But we're not going to be bothered with that right now, because a lot of times this gets in my way. So once my varnish is mixed, I pour it into my little squeeze bottle. I don't know, can you hear my dogs wrestling? And then we put the cover on here. And then we begin to fill our dots. And then we begin to fill our dots and our lines, our pips and our lines. And I have actually seen people selling dominoes on Etsy, and they did not paint that dividing line between the two halves of the tile. And I'm sure it's because they couldn't figure out how to get something narrow enough to fit into that space. But these have these little needle nose tips on them, these like really fine tips on them, and so they fit right into that line. Perfect. Okay, so they are all painted, the pips and the lines, and then we will come back. Got an air bubble right there. And then we will come, okay, you guys are barking in my video. We're going to let these dry for about an hour, and then we will come back and sand the edges and varnish them, and this set will be done. Okay, I am back. We have finished painting all of the pips and lines. I do see a couple of these have a little air bubble, little spot there. I see a little air bubble spot there. So I'll have to go back and just fill those in. But so now all we need to do is take our Dremel and just soften these edges and then varnish them, and these are done. So let me get my mask on. Okay, so these are all sanded, so we need to dust these off and then just varnish the edges and we'll be done. Alright, and of course we seal and just make them look finished. Our Dominoes with our Duraclear gloss varnish. So give this a good shake. Put a little bit in this little bowl here. And then I simply go around all the edges where I sanded. You hear my dogs in the background. They just want to be the stars of this video. And then we run our brush in one direction. I guess you can hear me over them. And it just makes your Dominoes look, the varnish makes them shiny and they just look special. So again, right along the edge that we sanded. And then one direction. Depending on how soft your brush is, you may wind up with some brush lines. So pay attention to the type of brush that you use. Listen to my dogs. And that's that. Okay, and we will let these dry, and they are done.